The secrets of who you are and what has made you run away from yourself, all these secrets are buried in your brain. But you don't want to look at them. The human being very often doesn't want to know the truth about himself because he thinks it will make him sick. So he makes himself sicker, trying to forget. You follow this?
One thing we ought never to forget, almost half our life is passed in a more or less unconscious state. The dream is specifically the utterance of the unconscious. We have all pondered our relationship with dreams. We have wondered at their significance in our lives, and to this day remain curious about them. Some dreams terrify us, others are mystifying and mysterious, others mind-bending. In the moment they can appear so real, yet only after waking do we realize that it was in fact not our reality. This can lead us to wondering if our waking state is in fact a reality. Dreams can convey our deep anxieties and fears that can be described as questioning our own morality or tap into feelings of guilt. But at their root they seem to connect with our strongest of emotions.
We live inside a dream.
Dream logic. There's nothing quite like it. Dream logic is, it's a thing that maybe doesn't make sense, but if it's put together right, it can make a sense on a deep level, on an intuitive level. And so you don't really know how to put it in words, but it makes sense somehow on an intuitive level, like a thinking, feeling level.
We dream feelings. We dream of someone we know, and moments later that person is someone else, or older or younger. And in our dream state this isn't questioned. This is dream logic. We just go with what is presented to us as our reality. It's only when we wake up when we realize how strange that was. When we dream, we mostly see the world as we see it now, through our own eyes, a first-person perspective. Although what David Lynch achieved so greatly at depicting dreams in Twin Peaks, Mulholland Drive, etc., is to tap into the dreamer's emotional experience. This is carefully crafted through pacing, music, and a meticulous approach to conveying the sense that something is off, that it might not be something you notice while dreaming, but observing it from a waking state, you're in tune with this situation feeling off, feeling dreamlike. Dream analysis can date as far back as 3100 BC with the Sumerians, and there are accounts of dream analysis throughout the world and through different civilizations. It was in 1899 that Freud's book The Interpretation of Dreams was published, conveying his thoughts on the mystery of dreams. Freud believed in wish fulfillment, that dreams may be the unconscious trying to resolve conflict due to repressed desires through guilt. We all seek answers and want some sort of conclusion. Wouldn't it be something to fully understand dreams? Or is there some beauty in them remaining mysterious? Freud's theories would be discussed through Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung, and it's his collated works Dreams that I'll be looking at today. In his own words, the dream is an extraordinary complicated phenomenon, just as uncomplicated and unfathomable as the phenomena of consciousness. Even though dreams refer to a definite attitude of consciousness and a definite psychic situation, their roots lie deep in the unfathomably dark recesses of the conscious mind. For want of a more descriptive term, we call this unknown background the unconscious. What are we keeping to ourselves? Our unconscious mind is a mystery in itself, a box of repressed feelings, complexes, hidden phobias and desires. Because it can only be theorized, we're left only with personal opinions and interpretations of dreams. Unless, of course, Jung would think. We are therefore obliged to adopt the method we would use in deciphering a fragmentary text or one containing unknown words. We examine the context. At this point you're asking for brutal honesty from your patient. If a dreamer keeps having dreams about communicating with his father, then a deep dive into that relationship should be necessary. Jung would say, when therefore we seek a psychological explanation of a dream, we must first know what were the preceding experiences out of which it is composed, keeping in mind that just as the interpretation of dreams requires exact knowledge of the conscious status quo, so the treatment of dream symbolism demands that we take into account the dreamer's philosophical, religious and moral convictions. I usually say to my patient, suppose I had no idea what the words deal table mean. Describe this object and give me its history in such a way that I cannot fail to understand what sort of thing it is. If, for instance, someone dreams of a table, we are still far from knowing what the table of the dreamer signifies, although the word table sounds unambiguous enough. For the thing we do not know is that this table is the very one at which his father sat when he refused the dreamer all further financial help and threw him out of the house as a good-for-nothing. The polished surface of this table stares at him as a symbol of his lamentable worthlessness in his daytime consciousness, as well as in his dreams at night. It is widely believed that dreams tap into our deepest thoughts. Our anxieties are no longer hiding. The worries we have while awake come out to play during sleep. We're anxious about who we are, our place in the world, or we're worried about someone we know and feel handcuffed into helping. Famous dreams include teeth falling out, or falling, or being naked in a public place. All examples of human anxiety or feelings of guilt. We all fear something. We are vulnerable, and it cannot be a coincidence that our most vulnerable state is one where our eyes are closed in the dark, switched off from reality.
Oh God, I could be bounded in a nutshell and call myself a king of infinite space, were it not that I have bad dreams.
Jung's words, dreams that form logically, morally, or aesthetically satisfying wholes are exceptional. Usually a dream is a strange and disconcerting product, distinguished by many bad qualities such as lack of logic, questionable morality, uncouth form, and apparent absurdity of nonsense. People are therefore only too glad to dismiss it as stupid, meaningless, and worthless.
Nancy, trust your mother for once, please. You'll feel better when you get some sleep. Feel better?
A Nightmare on Elm Street is a classic tale of vulnerability, a state in which we are at the total mercy from those around us that are not unconscious. A fear that falling asleep, a necessary action, could be your end. A coming-of-age film in a sense where the teenagers are more savvy and the parents reckless. Their actions putting all of their children at risk. Their children, with their ever-growing imagination, will have to fall asleep. And it's in their sleep where they pay the price. As against this, we should not overlook the fact that the very dreams which disturb sleep most, and these are not uncommon, have a dramatic structure which aims logically at creating a highly effective situation, and builds it up so efficiently that the effect unquestionably wakes the dreamer. Initial dreams are often amazingly lucid and clear-cut, but as the work of analysis progresses, the dreams tend to lose their clarity. The whole dream work is essentially subjective, and a dream is a theatre in which the dreamer is himself the scene, the player, the prompter, the producer, the author, the public, and the critic. Inception is a high-concept, highly effective blockbuster with a brain. Its emotional core lies with its protagonist Cobb. His past is not at rest, it seeps into his subconscious. He cannot forget that his life's work led to the destruction of his livelihood. His wife dead, a version of her haunting him, his suppressed guilt attacking him while asleep. Jung, hypnagogic visual impression, by the seashore. The sea breaks into the land, flooding everything. Then the dreamer is sitting on a lonely island. The sea is the symbol of the collective unconscious, because unfathomed depths lie concealed beneath its reflecting surface. Cobb not only feels guilty about the death of his wife, but also leaving his children to secure his safety. Despite being good-natured, Cobb's actions destroyed one life, and others could be affected when they grow up. Mal won't stop haunting Cobb, because Cobb has not made peace with his guilt. They bring about a momentous alteration of his personality, since they immediately constitute a painful personal secret, which alienates and isolates him from his surroundings. It is something that we cannot tell anybody.
Your guilt defines her. It's what powers her. But you are not responsible for the idea that destroyed her. And if we are going to succeed in this, you have to forgive yourself. And you're going to have to confront her.
The conflict between conscious and unconsciousness.
We're in mind.
The conscious mind is defending its position. We can be at war with our thoughts. We have a habit of listening to that little voice that tells you you're inadequate, that you should feel guilty, even if there's no proof of its truth. We worry about tomorrow and remember our past mistakes. We fail to accept that we are imperfect. We have let people down, and in doing so feel a sense of personal failure. I would even assert that without knowledge of the conscious situation, the dream can never be interpreted with any degree of certainty. While I believe Mulholland Drive should remain as mysterious as possible, it doesn't stop me from trying to interpret it. We can all see its approach to the dark underbelly of Hollywood, a place that simply swallows people up and spits them out. But the film is mystifying and dreamlike. Performances are sometimes exaggerated, and when a person is known by different names, it can be confusing. Jung would say, "But if I dream of a person who is not important to me in reality, then interpretation on the subjective level will be nearer the truth. It is, however, possible, and this happens very frequently in practice, that the dreamer will at once associate this unimportant person with someone with whom he is connected by a strong emotion or affect. Formerly one would have said, the unimportant figure has been thrust forward in the dream intentionally, in order to cover up the painfulness of the other figure." Regarding dreams, the film is predominantly set within a dream state. The opening shot is of a person hitting their pillow. To understand the dreams thereafter, you must therefore understand the dreamer's conscious situation. Our life is spent in struggles for the realization of our wishes. All our actions proceed from the wish that something should or should not come to pass. It is for this that we work, for this we think. If we cannot fulfill a wish in reality, we realize it at least in fantasy. And therefore Diane, or Betty, whichever name you give her, dreams this fantasy life. Everything she thought she ever wanted plays out in her dream. Success, love. However, the reality of everything in her life falling apart, and those dreams fading, start to bleed into this fantasy. True, the sense is often something that could just as well be called nonsense, for there is a certain incommensurability between the mystery of existence and human understanding. Sense and nonsense are merely man-made labels which serve to give us a reasonably valid sense of direction. Often enough they appear senseless, but it is obviously we who lack sense and ingenuity to read the enigmatic message from the nocturnal realm of the psyche. Mulholland Drive has that sense of something being off, a heightened soap opera feel.
Oh, I can't believe it.
An illusionary experience, Betty's raw emotions with a connection to Rita, which can only truly be felt and connects to its audience, us. We all know how it feels to be close to another person. It's indescribable. Words can never do justice to your most powerful connection to another human being. You're familiar with these emotions and how impactful they are felt while you dream. The reason for this exceptional position of dreams lies in their peculiar mode of origin. They do not arise like other conscious contents from any clearly discernible, logical and emotional continuity of experience, but are remnants of a peculiar psychic activity taking place during sleep. In psychological matters, the question, why does it happen, is not necessarily more productive of results than the other question, to what purpose does it happen? Betty's dreams may not have a purpose, they torment her. They give her agony. It is she who believes she has the talent to become a successful actress. Their purpose seems to be one last ditch to pull her into accepting her reality. Her ambitions didn't pan out, and now she wallows. It affected her relationships and her mental health. Though her dreams torment her, perhaps it was one last chance at giving her hope of moving on. In analytical psychology, Jung would refer to people having a shadow. This shadow self is an unconscious part of our personality, something we fail to recognize. A shadow can appear in dreams which is why Diane's experience is so engrossing. The shadow corresponds to a negative ego personality and includes all those qualities we find painful or regrettable. Diane's shadow could arguably be Rita, someone she teams up with to solve her own mystery. Or it could be Camilla Rhodes, the successful actress, she who is in a position of success that Diane chases. These are shadows within herself, just like the Betty name she's taken on. Jung and colleague Marie-Louise von France would write, "All the contents are blurred and merge into one another, and one never knows exactly what or where anything is, or where one begins and ends." Diane's pain is apparent though, and her fantasies do come to an end. Despite all the drama, it was not enough to wake the dreamer up from her pain. It was to be her very final dream.
Does having a psychology background give you any sort of edge in Hollywood?
It's the same thing, really, being an actor and the study of psychology, because you're basically looking at people and thinking why they do the things they do.
Do dreams matter? Are they significant at all?
I don't think so, no. I think they're like your brain just getting rid of information it doesn't need, and then your brain naturally puts it into stories. That's what I think about.
Perhaps it isn't that dreams don't matter in a sense of needing to understand them, but perhaps dreams are important for some sort of introspection. We don't want to live with fears and anxieties. Perhaps a certain dream can unlock within a person a key to opening a door that puts that person on a journey to rid themselves of these anxieties. Jung would say, "I do not wish to give the impression that I imagine I have said anything final on this highly complicated subject." Indeed, and predictably we are left knowing that dreams remain a mystery. There's some comfort in that though, isn't there? But your consciousness and unconsciousness don't have to be so mysterious. Either you are a person who wants to unlock mysteries, or you aren't. Either you are curious to learn about who you truly are, or you are content staying exactly where you are, whether it relates to avoidance or fear that you can't yet face the truth and worry about your secrets being exposed. Perhaps you're already living your dream life, or perhaps you can't surrender your attachment to fading fantasies. Wherever you are, I wish you well. It's either time to go to sleep or time to wake up. Thank you.